All right, chapter 74, footers 1. In order to allow the sacred king precedence over his Tanist, he was usually described as the son of a god by a mother on whom her husband subsequently fathered a mortal twin. Thus, Hercules is Zeus's son by Alcmene, but his twin Iphicles is the son of her husband Amphitryon. A similar story is told about the Discuri of Laconia and about their rivals Idas and Lynceus of Messenia. The perfect harmony existing between the twins themselves marks a new stage in the development of kingship when the Tanist acts as vizier and chief of staff, being nominally less powerful than the sacred king. Castor, therefore, not Polydeuces, is the authority on war. He even instructs Hercules in military arts, thus identifying himself with Iphicles. And Lynceus, not Idas, is gifted with acute vision, but until the double kingdom system had been evolved, the Tanist was not regarded as immortal, nor granted the same posthumous status of his twin. 2. The Spartans were frequently at war with the Messenians and, in classical times, had sufficient military power and influence over the Delphic oracle to impose their twin heroes on the rest of Greece as enjoying greater favor with Father Zeus than any other pair, and the Spartan kingdom did indeed outlast all its rivals. Had this not been so, the constellation of the twins might have commemorated Hercules and Iphicles, or Idas and Lynceus, or Acrisius and Protus, instead of merely Castor and Polydeuces, who were not even the only heroes privileged to ride white horses. Every hero worthy of a hero feast was a horseman. It is these sunset feasts at which a whole ox was eaten by the hero's descendants that account for the gluttony attributed to Lepreus and Hercules, and here to Idas, Lynceus, and their rivals. 3. Marriage to the Leucippetides embroiled the Spartan co-kings. They were described as priestesses of Athene and Artemis and given moon names, being in fact the moon goddess's representatives. Thus, in vase paintings, the chariot of Selene is frequently attended by the Discuri. As the spirit of the waxing year, the sacred king would naturally mate with Artemis, a moon goddess of spring and summer, and his Tanist as spirit of the waning year, with Athene, who had become a moon goddess of autumn and winter. The mythographer is suggesting that the Spartans defeated the Messenians and that their leaders forcibly married the heiress of Arene, a principal city of Messenia, where the mare-headed mother was worshipped, thus establishing a chain to the surrounding region. 4. Similarly, with Marpessa, apparently the Messenians made a raid on the Aetolians in the Evenus Valley, where the sow mother was worshipped and carried off the heiress. Marpessa, snatcher or gobbler, they were opposed by the Spartans, worshippers of Apollo, who grudged them their success. The dispute was then referred to the central authority at Mycenae, which supported the Messenians. But Evanessus's chariot race with Idas recalls the Pelops Onomus and the Hercules Cycnius myths. In each case, the skulls of the king's rivals are mentioned. The icon from which all these stories are deduced must have shown the old king heading for his destined chariot crash, after having offered 7 annual surrogates to the goddess. His horses are sacrificed as a preliminary to the installation of the new king. The drowning of Evenus is probably misread. It shows Idas being purified before marriage and then riding off triumphantly in the queen's chariot. Yet, these Pelagian marriage rites have been combined in the story with the Hellenic custom of marriage by capture. The fatal cattle raid may record a historical incident, a quarrel between the Messenians and Spartans about the sharing of spoil in a joint expedition against Arcadia. 5. Castor and Polydeuces' visit to Phormio's house is disingenuously described. The author is relating another trick played on the stupid Spartans by an impersonation of their national heroes, Cyrene, where the Discuri were worshipped, supplied herb Benjamin, a kind of asafoetida, the strong smell and taste of which made it valued as a condiment. The two Cyrenian merchants were obviously what they professed themselves to be, and when they went off with Phormio's daughter, left their wares behind in payment. Phormio decided to call it a miracle. 6. Wild pear trees were sacred to the moon because of their white blossom and the most ancient image of the death goddess Hera in the Harem at Mycenae was made of pear wood. Plutarch and Aelian mentioned the pear as a fruit particularly venerated at Argos and Tiryns. Hence, the Peloponnese was called Apia of the pear tree. Athene, also a death goddess, had the surname Onsi, pear tree, at her pear sanctuary in Boeotia. The Discuri chose this tree for their perch in order to show that they were genuine heroes. Moreover, the pear tree forms fruit towards the end of May, when the sun is in the house of the twins and when the sailing season begins in the eastern Mediterranean. Sparrows that follow the Discuri when they appear in answer to sailors' prayers belong to the sea goddess Aphrodite. Exuthus, sparrow, the father of Aeolus, was an ancestor of the Discuri who worshipped her. 7. In the Homeric hymn to the Discuri, it is not made clear whether Castor or Polydeuces are followed by sparrows or whether they come darting on sparrowy wings through the upper air to help distressed sailors, but on Etruscan mirrors they are sometimes pictured as winged. Their symbol at Sparta, the Docana, represented the two supporting pillars of the shrine. Another symbol consisted of two amphoras, each entwined by a serpent. The serpents being the incarnate Discuri who came to eat food placed in the amphoras. 8. Gorgophone defied the Indo-European convention of suttee by marrying again. All right.